Okay, now let's take a breeze. Fun activities. So the first fun activity is
It has a little bit of profanity, I would say. Don't watch it for that if you're sensitive or when life gets stagnant. Turn on Dead Poets Society and you'll feel much better.
hey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm writing a poem.
Can I read it?
Okay, if you want to.
Man,
Wait, what's so funny, man?
it's funny, man. This doesn't look like a poem. It's like a comedy script.
Come on, you're not supposed to say that stuff about poetry. Let me tell you something. We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We do it because we are members of the human race. And the human race is filled with passion.
Where did he learn this?
Well, let's just say I got it from a little movie called Dead Poets Society.
Hello, buddies. You're watching Melly with Mary. I'm Mary Dawson, and today we are starting at another special series, and this time it's for the movie club. So we have a special new series and a special guest speaker. You would have met him already in a live stream, probably. So yeah, we all had good response for the Your View on Books new series on books talk shows, like with club members. So we have extended that into the Kino Compulse, which is basically a movie talk show, and our movie club name happens to be the Kino Compulse as well. So yeah, our first guest speaker for this movie talk show is Zygam, and he has been a member of both book club and movie club for more than a year now. And I'm really happy that he, accepted our invite and came for a movie talk show. Yes, let's have a short introduction from Zygam.
So, hi everyone, I'm Zagam, and I'm a huge cinephile. I have been watching movies for as long as I can remember, and today I have a very special movie to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, that's what Zygam is for. He is going to recommend us one special movie, curated movie that we will have to watch. So yeah, let's start with the interview. Now, I know that he's a aficionado of Hollywood and European movies, and appreciates Indian movies also. We have watched a lot of
World
Indian,
cinema in
yeah,
general.
world cinema in general. So yeah, and you guys know that I'm a movie aficionado as well. So I'm sure you would have started watching movies from your childhood.
Yeah.
So when you started to watch movies, were fascinated by it, and you would have started probably watching more movies, like hundreds and thousands of movies. But right now, you're grown up and you are in your teenage, and you by now you should have at least watched 500 movies.
Yeah.
And you see the content now; it's kind of boring content nowadays. It's difficult to keep the audience engaged with movies. So, what do you think of the movie that is coming out nowadays, and what keeps you or hooks you to watch more movies?
Sure. So I'll just give you a little brush up like where my movie watching experience started. So thanks to my dad, who is a like huge Hollywood fan. He introduced me to all those blockbuster movies of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Spider-Man and everything. So as a kid, I used to watch them on television. But then gradually I started exploring more about cinema, and then I found a couple of DVDs with my brother. We used to watch those movies. But yeah, if you consider the scenario now, it has completely changed. Like with the advent of OTT and streaming, like nobody wants to go to watch to this like movies in theaters and cinemas, which is, I think, okay for the comfort aspect. It's good, but then I mean, if the filmmaker has put so much effort, if it's like a really good blockbuster movie, I think people should have to take the effort and go watch it in the theaters. So I think, yeah, I mean, OTT has its own place, but as viewers and as audiences, we have to be smart enough and considerate enough to support the filmmakers, especially the filmmakers who are coming, like young filmmakers or who are coming into the scene just recently. So that's my take.
Yeah. One question for me, this is generally the issue. So no matter which new series or movie you start to watch, you get the feeling soon that this was already done in some other movie and they have taken inspiration from this movie. So it becomes at a point of time you have to be very selective. I am selective nowadays in watching movies. So how are you tackling this issue?
I mean, you have to like take a proactive approach. If you are a cinephile, you have to research for yourself, right? Like, what I do is personally, I am part of this. I wouldn't say a community, but there's this app called Letterboxd, which
Yes.
is basically a film social discovery app or site.
Like IMDb,
And I'll tell you why it's more inclusive, because there's a community of people who are really passionate about films, and there are a couple of filmmakers also from the likes of Martin Scorsese and big filmmakers who have an account on Letterboxd, and they also post reviews and stuff of their movies. And when you read those reviews, you get some insights as to a lot of insights into filmmaking also. And I have discovered so many good movies from Letterboxd that I don't even remember, and there are multiple lists. Some of them are very funny lists as well, like random lists you'll find. And as I said, like the world of cinema is so broad that you can't just stick to one country or one genre. You have to keep exploring, and there are so many hidden gems to be found. That's what I do.
so even before you recommended a movie, you recommended an app, Letterboxd.
Letterboxd
So so for bibliophiles, I think Goodreads is one good example analogy. So it's similar to Goodreads. Yeah, Goodreads of filmmaking is nothing but Letterboxd. So I have to check it out. Make sure you also check it out. So right now, let's get into the topic. Which movie you're gonna recommend for our audience today?
Okay, so before I tell you about the movie, let me just give you a little, uh, what to say, intro sort of. So, what do you do when life gets stagnant? You watch a good movie. And especially this, what to say, a vague genre. I mean, I wouldn't say uh, it's a declared genre as such, but in the general consensus, it's called feel good movies. That's what I did, and like I googled a couple of feel good movies, and the first one, or I mean, it's almost on the every list of movies out there. The film I'm talking about is called Dead Poets Society. It's directed by Peter Weir, and it was released back in 1989, I suppose. And so yeah, I'm just gonna talk about why it's a special movie.
Okay, so I'll make sure I'll put a poster here in the editing. So we're going to talk about Dead Poets Society, the one of the most important. Robin Williams, the popular face. So everybody would know Robin Williams. So Robin Williams. I have also not watched, so all my questions are going to be from the point of view of a moviegoer who hasn't watched the movie. So let's ask the story first. So can you tell us like what's the story of Dead Poets
Dead
Society?
Poets Society. So yeah, Dead Poets Society is about these couple of boys who are in this boarding school. Um, I think it's called Welton Academy or something in America, and so they are there to for their high school or something, I suppose. And then the character of Robin Williams, his name is Mr. Keating. He is a literature teacher in that school. So it's like on the surface it looks like a drama movie, but it has so many hidden gems and life lessons to learn from. So Mr. Keating is a very uh, what's the term for it, like non-conventional kind of teacher, like unorthodox. He doesn't goes to the class and just starts blabbering and writing on the blackboard. No, none of that. He teaches in a very experimental and practical kind of way, which I loved the way he taught. I wish I had more teachers like that in my schools or colleges, but unfortunately I didn't. Anyway, so Mr. Keating is your dream teacher, if it would be. So he's very interactive with the students. He talks to them and he teaches them so many stuff about poetry and literature. There's a very funny scene. I don't know if this should be a spoiler or not, but I think it's a minor one. So there's this very funny scene where it's a book on poetry, and it just talks about like the how poetry is written. There's these things called meter and rhyme and everything. So that author has like given a very archaic, I wouldn't say archaic, but very mathematical outlook on poetry. He actually gives a graph of it, like a x and y graph, and then they plot it on it, and then like if your poetry lies on this point, it's good. If it lies on this point, it's bad. Then Mr. Keating is like, this is bunch of BS, just tear the entire chapter from the book. And he asks the student to do it. and they have to do it. He forces them to do it because some students are hesitant to do that, but they still do it, and it's so funny. And these are the things that he does in the entire movie. Whenever his class is there, he'll stand on a table, and the reason for doing is like he wants them to have a new perspective on things and all this stuff. But then there is a big twist in the movie which I won't spoil. It's a big twist, and as I said, like watch it for all the life lessons it gives, and it's ultimately it will teach you a thing or two about poetry and life in general.
Okay. So yeah, from what I heard, it's coming of age. So student and teacher and
Mhm.
so apart from the story that you told, like what are all the characters? Like how many characters? So obviously Robin Williams would be the teacher, I guess.
Yes.
So apart from his character, are there any good characters? And does the narrative go concentrate on the story or the characters or both?
Well, I would say it is both a character focused and a story focused movie. So if you talk about the student characters, Ethan Hawke, who is a big superstar in Hollywood, he had a character of a young boy within the boys group. He is like a very reserved kind of introvert kind of guy who initially is very skeptical of Mr. Keating and the way he teaches because it's very unconventional, and he is there to study and make his parents proud. So initially he is very kind of reserved to him, but himself. But as days progress and Mr. Keating, he discovers more about Mr. Keating and other friends of him. He gets more involved. So I guess that's one of the main characters. And the other character is one of the boys who. Okay, so I'll tell you why it's called Dead Poet Society, or what's the scene behind Dead Poet Society. So Mr. Keating also used to also study in that same school, and he had made a club or like a group of poets and romantics who made this society called Dead Poet Society. So they met at this place and recited poetry and wrote poetry, and that it. So when he found a book somewhere, the other main character, he found a book and saw that Mr. Keating was part of this. So he brings it to the class and shows it to Mr. Keating, and he is like teary eyed all the way, like. So this guy decides that you know what, we'll renovate the group, and we'll also do something the club, and we'll also do something like this. So one day they just sneak out of the of the school, and then they go into the woods and all, and they find a cave where they actually make the Dead Poet Society. They initiate the club, and just recite poetry and talk about stuff, smoke, and just do the things that boys do. So yeah.
Product placement here. We also have many clubs.
Yeah, yeah.
So we don't have a poetry club, but we do have a writers and book club, which comes near to it. Okay, moving on. So one of my question was why the name? Like, does the movie has one or two scenes explaining the name? But you've already answered that. Okay, so from what you told, I feel that the story has two or three main characters. One being the teacher and Ethan Hawke, another student, and
Yeah.
couple of other characters.
Yeah.
And who's your favorite character?
My favorite character is absolutely the character played by John Williams. Sorry, Robin Williams. I'm so sorry, Robin Williams. So yeah, because he is the ideal teacher if you see like what students dream of, and he just connects with students on such a deeper level, and without being very strict or without being very what to say. There's this term in teaching called pedagogy. I think never does that. He just teaches stuff about life and not even a subject. So that's my favorite character. Yeah.
Okay. So I know you are not a technical person, but I want to know the perspective of a moviegoer. Like, so the story, narrative, acting, I'm sure you're impressed with. Apart from this, the cinematography, like nowadays, I think even the commoner who doesn't have any filmmaking knowledge, they start to appreciate this cinematography or lighting. So most of the scenes would have been in the college classroom, and how the color tone or cinematography has played a role in making this film great.
I'm so glad that you brought up this question because light has such an important role to play in this movie. It's like light has its own character in this movie. And I was watching this video essay on the movie. This guy, he just talks about how light depicts all these emotions in the movie. So whenever Mr. Keating is in the class, the light is very bright, and things are very open. And as soon as and some other teacher or some, if they're in the hallway, it's a little dull. And talking about the cinematography, it's absolutely gorgeous. Even if you don't want to watch the movie for the story or anything, just watch it for the cinematography. I mean, back in the 80s, there was these specific movies where they had this sense of melancholic cinematography, and it's like sunset going, and then the hue is there, and then autumn trees. And I watched this movie like 10 years back, when I was a teenager first. At that time, absolutely fell in love with the movie, and that's how I started my poetry journey. I started to write poems for that. But then I recently saw one reel which was like movies to watch this fall, and the number one was Dead Poets Society. I'm like, okay, I need to revisit this. And just recently I rewatched it, and that's why I'm talking about you in this interview. But then, yeah, the cinematography I'm talking about, it's very beautiful. Watch it for the cinematography. Yeah.
Okay, now let's take a brief fun activities. So the first fun activity is uh, yeah. So the one that we played the same with book topic. So assume that you do not like this movie, you hate this movie, you are like, why did I watch this? I need to tell people to save their times watching this movie. So you're becoming a what do you say, you are creating a propaganda asking people not to watch this movie. So how would you do that?
Well, I would do that only for the sole purpose if I would have been a teacher in a school, let's suppose. And again, if I was like a pedagogical teacher who's like who is very strict on discipline and conventional teaching methods. So I actually read about this article as well online, which criticized the movie a lot. Yet again, it came from an English teacher, and it was his perspective on the movie. He mentioned these things, that the way poetry has been depicted in the movie is not very accurate, and he showed how Mr. Keating's character is very flawed as well. But if I just want like somebody to not watch this movie, I would be like, it has a little bit of profanity, I would say. Don't watch it for that if you're sensitive or anything. But and if you don't like poetry, don't watch it at all.
Your points were like profanity main, and then the main point was they have portrayed poetry in the wrong way. So that's the way you're saying. If you wanna, sell that you don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, but we all know that it's your favorite movie. The second fun activity is nothing but, since it's related to poem, can you describe this movie in a single line poem?
Oh my God. Come on, dude. I'll be like so fast on a phone. But
Yeah, just 3 words or 1 word. I don't mind. So the idea is like, try to summarize the experience of watching this movie. What you felt in a single line poem, or just three or 4 words.
okay.
You can take your
So
time.
I'll just go with the first sentence that I spoke in this interview. When life gets stagnant, turn on Dead Poets Society and you'll feel much better.
Wow, that's so good. When life gets stagnant, turn on to Dead Poets Society. It'll get better.
You'll feel good by the end.
Okay, we should write it down. Okay, fun. Now let's get to the actual feeling that you have. You love this movie, and you personally, when I asked him like, what's a movie you're going to talk about for the pilot episode that we are shooting now, he said like Dead Poets Society. I have never watched this. Like, what is this? I started googling. So, and he told me like, do watch it ASAP. So you are trying now. You're gonna try make people watch this movie.
Okay. So let's suppose you are not that much into poetry and you don't understand poetry very much. So I'll tell you, like my girlfriend Afreen, she is not that much into poetry. She likes it, but it's like she doesn't has that passion for it, like, oh my God, I love poetry. I showed her this movie and she's like, okay, I want to go to the poetry event and I want to write a poem now. And all these arts things, like, there's this character in the movie as well who wants to act in a play, but then his father is very strict and he wants him to go to medical school. There's that aspect as well. And so if you want to get some motivation to get into arts or creative outlets, as there's this one line in the movie, I'm not sure if it's exactly like this, but it's something like, We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion and love, poetry, and all these things. I mean, he says that engineering, law, medicine, these are noble pursuits, but then love, poetry, and beauty, romance, these are the things that we stay alive for. So that line hits you so hard that just if you watch that entire section, you'll absolutely fall in love with the movie and poetry, hopefully, and hopefully it gets you to read more poetic stuff.
Oh man, that was so impressive. When you were trying to tell that dialogue, I thought I am watching the movie. So I mean, it's great to see a guy who has watched a movie and not only felt good, but also remembered this reasonably well. Like it may
Yeah.
not be the exact lines that he recited, but it made him. He didn't tell his own poem in this way, but the poem from the movie he is reciting.
Yeah, is the line that Robin Williams gives to the students to make them appreciate poetry and beauty.
I mean, Robin Williams movie. We all know that he's a comedy actor, but I think a later point of his career, he acted in brilliant films like
Yeah.
this. This is philosophical. So yeah, I think this one movie is definitely a great recommendation by Zygam.
Yeah.
So coming to the video talk show, so you have been part of podcast. So our MWM viewers will definitely know they've heard you, and we even did a Chungking Express so in my show, Decrypting Movies and Series, he had come as a guest speaker as a live stream. But for this pilot issue, we did a video interview. And for Book Club, we started, and Movie Club this is the first episode. How was the experience appearing in a video talk show?
I always wanted to be in a video interview because I mean, if you're on YouTube, so I mean, video works better, in my opinion. But that's a technical aspect. I think I'm a little bit of camera shy, but then things like these activities make me come more out of my shell and become more confident speaking in front of the camera. But then again, I think if you're in video, you can express yourself even more better and just more fun, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, product placement again here. We have both podcast and video talk shows. So for people like who has camera shy or like they want to explore only the voice, then that's the reason I do audio podcasts. It's great to talk to new people and explore their movies and books, like what do they read. So it can be done both in audio only podcast and a video talk show. Last question: summarize the movie in one word.
Sure. So I would say something like poetically beautiful.
Okay. Great. So poetically beautiful is what Zygam is saying, and I feel after listening to what he told about the story and the characters and how philosophical, and they have played with lighting and cinematographer. I think it's a case study for filmmakers. So definitely, I'm going to watch it, and you should also watch it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this interview, and we thank Zygam for appearing on a talk show. This paves way for many more shows to come from our movie club members. So yeah, do stay tuned, and I hope you enjoyed this. You will catch me in another live stream video or podcast. Until then, you're watching Melly with Maddie. I'm Matt Dawson signing off with Zygam. Bye bye.